Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing some shorter-term technical analysis on Bitcoin, because if we zoom in here to the hourly chart, as you guys can see, Bitcoin has started to fall below this downtrend of support and resistance. As you guys can see, Bitcoin has tested this level of support/resistance multiple times in the last couple of weeks, and unfortunately this morning, Bitcoin did in fact break below it. Here on Coinbase, Bitcoin is actually trading below $8,000 right now, so in today's video, we're going to be discussing this bearish move to the downside and whether or not Bitcoin might be heading all the way back down to 7750 for another critical decision point where Bitcoin will either decide to bounce or fall, and we'll be talking about what those moves might mean for the cryptocurrency market. Guys, thank your lucky stars, because something is finally happening on the Bitcoin chart that we can discuss. So guys, it's going to be a good video. If you do enjoy today's video, make sure you smash that like button down below. Also, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and the post notification bell so you'll be updated every time a new video goes live. Wouldn't want you to miss any of them. So without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Guys, the first thing I want to remind you of is the old saying, the trend is your friend right up until it ends. And that is going to be just as true now as it is any other time that we look at this market. Guys, ever since back over here at the end of June in 2019, Bitcoin has been in a downtrend. We've been making lower highs, we've been making lower lows, and Bitcoin has been consistently falling. A similar thing is true over here, guys. Even though we had a higher high recently, in general, Bitcoin is trading sideways, and before that, we were trading to the downside. So we still haven't really broken that bearish trend that we were in. And the reason I bring this up is not to spread bearishness, it's not to spread FUD, it's to remind you guys of that old saying, because it's very important. The trend is your friend until it ends. And right now, guys, especially over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 days, Bitcoin has been trending to the downside also. The trend is your friend until it ends. That's going to hold true in any market and any piece of the history of that market. The same thing's true over here. Bitcoin was in a bullish uptrend right up until it ended, and then it was in a downtrend. Same thing in reverse. Guys, it's pretty obvious, but people forget about it all the time. So what that means is that until we are proven bullish, we need to remain bearish or neutral. You don't want to be on the side of the argument that has no proof. Right now, there's proof that the bears are in control because they've been in control for the last 4 months, because we just broke levels of support, because the technical indicators on the short term anyway are not looking very bullish. There are many reasons to believe that the bears are in control, or at least that the bears have not lost their control to the bulls just yet. And this is another example of that, guys. I've been talking about bearishness over the last several videos, really over the last several weeks in videos, talking about how Bitcoin very well may come down here and break below 7750. I've also mentioned the possibility that Bitcoin might break to the upside, guys, but both of those scenarios depend heavily on how Bitcoin plays out this trading range that's been in. This little zone here, this 15% range that Bitcoin's been in here for the last month, this is going to indicate whether or not Bitcoin breaks to the upside or downside. If Bitcoin comes up here and starts breaking resistance near $9,000, we're heading up and we're going into a new rally, and this was all just an inverse Bart Simpson pattern. But if Bitcoin continues doing what it did this morning and breaking support and heading back down even lower, then Bitcoin very well may be heading to much lower lows. We've talked about the levels of support that Bitcoin is looking at on this channel before. 7750 is the obvious one that Bitcoin is probably at this point going to come and test here over the next couple of hours. There may even be a trade that you want to make in this. I'm going to wait for the bigger moves because I like doing longer term swing trades, but there might be a trade for today with Bitcoin pulling back if you are interested in that. Be careful with your stop losses and everything, of course. But below 7750, guys, it gets a little dicey with where the support levels are. We have some support at $6,000, but really the next major support's actually at $5,000. And then to find support below that, we have to go to the weekly chart and bring up the 200 weekly simple moving average, and that's all the way down here at $4,700 and change. There's not a whole lot of support immediately beneath us, guys, and to be honest, there's not a whole lot of fundamental forces that are going to be driving Bitcoin to the upside right now either. As much as I hate this argument, and you guys know I do, this might be one of those cases where Bitcoin needs to dump and flush the bears out and then go so low that the bulls see it as such a good buying opportunity that a new uptrend can start. Perhaps that's what we need. Maybe that's why we've been trading sideways for so long. Maybe what we're seeing is a similar pattern to what we saw at the end of 2018 when Bitcoin was trading above $6,000, just trading sideways for months and months and months. It was because Bitcoin wanted to break to the downside, but it just wasn't quite there yet. Perhaps that's what we're seeing now, guys, and Bitcoin does need to fall to the downside, like Bitcoin fell to $3,000, and then from there it can continue to the upside in the bullish direction. Maybe it'd be a good thing. Maybe it'd be a rebirth if Bitcoin were to fall down there. But nevertheless, if Bitcoin does fall below 7750, Bitcoin is entering a new bear market, even if it would be a short one. But guys, with all that in mind, let's actually start talking about the probabilities. What is the probability that Bitcoin starts breaking below key levels of support like 7750? Are we actually headed down there? Well, one thing I do want to mention at the outset is a pattern that I'm seeing here, Bitcoin does have some support right here, and Bitcoin does have some resistance right here. So I know there's going to be people that are arguing that this is a falling wedge and is actually a bullish continuation pattern of this uptrend. That's very possible, guys. If we put a bottom in right here or somewhere around where we are right now, maybe on all of the charts it averages out to a bottom at the even level of $8,000, a scenario like this where Bitcoin bounces and continues higher is most certainly possible, although I don't think it's most probable because it's not a pattern that a lot of people are going to see, and it's a very steep descending wedge. A lot of times they're not going to be that steep. I'll let you guys argue about that in the comments. But nevertheless, other than that possibility, which honestly seems like a bullish, but guys, other than that possibility, I think it's more than likely that Bitcoin comes down to 77.50, and from there we very well may bounce. But as you guys know, they're in CT2A. Whenever Bitcoin comes down, or any market comes down to a level of support more than 3 times, that's normally a very strong signal that that level of support or resistance is eventually going to break. So if we do come down here a 4th time, that is very bad. Even if we bounce off of it and rally to the upside, that is very, very bad because it means that we are greatly diminishing the strength of this level of support. And in fact, we're also increasing what I call like the level of support's magnetism or its gravity, its attraction. It's going to re-attract the market back down to it. If we weaken it, then Bitcoin's going to come down here and it's going to bounce. And then because it's so weak, it's going to want to come back down here again. The bulls are going to be vindicated if we do that. So let's try to not go down to $8,000. I know there's not much we can do about it other than my team of whales sitting in the other room. They'll try and keep the market up. But other than that, just watch out for Bitcoin pulling back down to that level, because if it does, like I said, there's a very high chance that we're going to break it, and then some of those levels of support that we were discussing a second ago come into play, like $6,000, $7,200, $3,600, $4,600, all these different levels. Those start coming into play, and I don't think we want Bitcoin to go to any of those, at least for the short term. As far as my investing portfolio is concerned, I'd be happy to see that, but I'd also not really like to see that because I want something interesting to happen in Bitcoin. Tell me in the comments if you are in agreement on that. One more thing I do want to point out, guys, is that the MACD is starting to converge bearish again. I didn't really think that this was going to go very bullish. You guys can go back about a week ago. I was talking about this cross on the MACD, and I really just didn't feel very good about it. It is starting to converge back on itself and doesn't look like it's going to really result in a whole lot, unfortunately. One more thing as well, guys, that perhaps Bitcoin could find some support down here on the RSI. Bitcoin does look like it has a little bit of an uptrend of support where Bitcoin may find support around 30 on the RSI. So if we pull back down to here, we might be able to get a bounce on the chart because the RSI would be bouncing as well. And this uptrend can be manipulated a little bit, something like this maybe, and we have a level of support down around 30. Whatever the case may be, if Bitcoin does fall down there, then this uptrend very well may catch us, at least for a little while. Uptrends on the RSI, in my experience, have never been the strongest, but it is something to keep an eye on. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for the technical analysis today. Let's dive into a news story that I want to bring to your attention. Miami Airport gets first Bitcoin ATM machine, and this is interesting because if you guys don't know, I live in Florida, and it wasn't that long ago that I was sprinting across Miami International because I had a layover, and I had exactly 8 minutes to get all the way across Miami International. And if you guys have never been to Miami International, that's a big airport. I don't think I've run a mile that quick in the gym ever since then, but I did that day, and after I sat down on the plane, I sat there for 20 minutes while I was waiting to take off because they lied to me about the scheduling. Anyway, that was annoying, but this is actually really cool. Miami-based Bitcoin technology startup Bitstop announced today it has installed Miami International Airport's first Bitcoin ATM. Through the ATM installed this past Tuesday, customers can now conveniently buy or sell Bitcoin for cash while traveling. And this is actually pretty cool, guys. Like I said, I live in Florida, and there's a Chevron, I think it is, on the corner of 2 streets that I was about to say the name of, but you guys don't have any idea what I'm talking about, in my town. And they just recently installed this ATM in that store down there also. Maybe I'll take a picture of it and post it on Twitter or something, but it's the exact same ATM. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same one. I recognize this user interface, so it's probably one by Bitstop as well. It's really cool seeing this kind of stuff pop up in the real world. And guys, it's these little stories that don't seem like a whole lot on the surface. It's the culmination of hundreds of those that is going to lead to the revolution that is cryptocurrency. It's the thing that's going to lead to Bitcoin becoming widespread and mass adopted the way we want to see. It's the thing that's going to eventually drive Bitcoin to becoming what it was always designed to become, a global currency with hundreds of millions, if not billions, of users worldwide. So guys, the reason I throw this up is not because one singular ATM is that big of a deal. It's to remind you here at the end of this video that has been relatively bearish, that just because the short-term technicals may not look the best, just because Bitcoin looks like it might be about to pull down to $6,000, $3,000, $1, I don't know, and I don't really care, to be honest. The point I'm trying to make is that no matter what Bitcoin does, the future for Bitcoin always looks bright. It certainly does right now. If any of that ever changes, I will be the first to tell you, but there is no indication that the future for Bitcoin is anything short of absolutely fantastic looking. Big things are coming to cryptocurrency, and anyone who's been in this space for a long enough time will understand that. So guys, I do hope you don't forget that. It's very important that you retain your faith in the space so long as that faith is warranted. And I do still believe that that faith is warranted, and I don't think there's a whole lot that can crack it, to be totally honest. But anyway, guys, that is pretty much going to do it for today's video. I do hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, tell me what you thought in the comment section down below. Let's get a conversation going. And also, if you're interested, the link to the Discord server is down below. I'd love for you to join our community over there. We've got about 2,000 members in the Discord. I'd love to see your beautiful face over there with us. But anyway, guys, that is pretty much going to wrap it up for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.